Morning. Got another deal to fix on the old BadBoy Revolt 48 inch. I got down to do something underneath the deck and I noticed that the blades were spinning kind of freehanding really easily, and that seemed kind of odd. So I'm going to show you how I fixed that issue. What the issue was is there's a bolt that comes down from a bracket and sits in a cutout off of the PT or on the PTO, and it keeps the PTO itself sitting still while everything else is going. That bolt of mine broke off, so now the PTO can just freewheel. And if I were to turn the blades on, it would probably rip that electrical connection right out or break the wires or something. So I took it all apart, got it all put back together, and then realized I put it in the wrong side of the PTO. So now we're going to do it all again. So let me show you what I'm talking about, and then I'll show you the process. So what I found the first time is this bolt right here goes up into this bracket here. The older one that was on here had snapped off right at the top of these threads. So then the entire PTO was just able to kind of freewheel around because there was no bolt to go through this little cutout that is sitting in right there. I put it in this one and then tightened everything back up and found out it's supposed to go through the other one, of course, that is all the way back here. So I've got to take all this back apart, spin this around 90 degrees, and put the bolt into the other one. So the way we're going to do that is the deck is dropped all the way down. We are going to remove this bracket that holds this pulley after we take the belt off, because we're just going to loosen the tension on all of that. So we're going to remove this nut, and that will bring down this whole bracket with the pulley on it and the silver bracket that has our bolt on it. So that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to get it lined up to the right spot, and I'll show you over on the workbench how this all looks when it's off. Now, normally, I don't like people looking over my shoulder, but since we're all learning, I'll let you do it. So here's the bracket. This is how it would be sitting on the mower. This bracket with our bolt is going to sit underneath just like this. Line up the holes, then it'll hang down just like that. And this is where the cutoff in the or the cutout in the PTO will be going right around this bolt. So I just undid the two 19 millimeter bolt or nuts that were on the bottom, and all of this came right out. So if yours breaks off, this is the bolt that you're going to need to replace. This is the one that you need for this particular mower is a 5/16. That's the diameter of the bolt, -18, which I believe is the thread pattern at the top. If this thing will stinking focus. So 5/16 with an 18 in, well, you're just going to have to take my word for it. These little stinking threads up here. With an 18, so 5/16 by 18 by 5.5 inches long. Lowe's did not have a 5.5 inch long, so I got a 6. And mine, what it did the first time is it just snapped right off at the bottom of this nut. Let me get y'all backed off here a little bit so maybe you can see better what I'm looking at. So mine, it broke off right at the bottom of these threads, and that top part of that bolt disappeared. So I was left with just this nut and this nut. So to get those off, this is a 1/2 inch. Both of these are 1/2 inch. So you can just get a 1/2 inch socket, stick it on there, loosen up the jam nut. This is one of those jam nuts that has the little teeth on the bottom. The top one is a 1/2 inch, kind of shallow nylon lock nut. So you just undo those, pop the old bolt out, and then when you put the new one in, so you'll take your jam. Golly, this thing is so stinking dark. Why can't you see? There, that's a little bit better. So you would take your bottom lock nut and you spin it on upside down. If you can see that, if the stupid thing will focus. There. Put it upside down and then push it up through the hole. This one, it has 3 holes drilled. I am in the far towards the end of the arm hole. And then when you put your lock nut on, the nylon lock nut, you just want that bolt to be flush with the top of it. Because you got to remember, when this is bolted up, the deck is going to be right on top. Either the deck or the frame is going to be right up on top of this. So you don't need a bunch of threads sticking out. You just want it flush with the top of that nylon nut. And then once you get it to the right spot, tighten up your lock nut and you're good to go. So here is the PTO. That is the cutout that I was talking about. That bolt will go right through this cutout, but this is the wrong one because I had it on the wrong one. Maybe I didn't. Because the bolt has got to go through one of these. The reason I think it's this side over here versus the other one is this one has some rub marks from the old bolt that was in there. So I'm going to get this stuck back in there so that we can get back to working. Because while we got downtime with broken equipment, we're not making any money. And it's actually costing us money because we're not working and we're buying parts. So you can see the 2 bolts that are sticking out the top. I'm going to get all of that up in there and finger tightened in there. That way I can get everything put back together. All right, so finally got it on there. Just finger tight. It can be a frustrating process. Just try to be patient and figure it out. You got to hold the silver bracket and the orange bracket together and then push them up onto the bolts that are coming through. And while you're holding it there, you've got to figure out how to get your hand around with the nut to get it hand tightened on there. And while you're doing all of that, don't forget that it needs to be through that cutout on the PTO. So it's all on there. Let's give it a little bit of a tighten just to make sure everything's where it needs to be. If you don't have one of these little stubby ratchets, go get you one of these little stubby ratchets. It's a 3/8 flex head stubby. I don't know how I ever fixed anything before I had this because I reach for this tool every time I need to fix something. Now, it's not going to get the same kind of torque and oomph on the bolt as a full size, but it'll get you close, and you have so much extra room. Like that big 3/8 ratchet I was using, it's a pain in the butt trying to move it around in here. Come on, turn it back on, stupid light. But this little stubby can stick it in there, and it'll move around, no problem. Come on. Not getting them fully tightened down yet, just kind of snugged up so I can make sure everything's in the right spot. Okay. So we've got that in there. Everything's looking like it's lining up right. So now we just need to pull the belt back on and pop it over this pulley. Come on. All right, you stay right there. Don't you move. All right. Good deal. Belt is all back on. I'm gonna get you out of your seat here. Belt's back on. Bolt is back through the PTO. That is the one, because this is the one that I was saying had the rub spots on the side of it from the last bolt. The electrical connection right up here. No, over here. Look over here. There you go. The electrical connection is out of the way. And the other reason I think it goes right there is because on the electrical connection, there is a zip tie that will zip tie this wire to that bolt to keep the wires out of the way. So the belt is back on. I just need to give those the final tightening. These two nuts here, and everything's good to go. I can get back to work, make some more money. So if you notice that your blades are freewheeling easier than they should be, check that. That could be your issue where your bolt either loosened up and fell out or it snapped off. Like I said, I got that from Lowe's. I didn't have to order it from a parts dealer online. BadBoyMowerParts.com had that same bolt. They wanted $3 for it, and then I would have had to pay to ship it to my house. I got that bolt at Lowe's for $1. $1.07 after tax. So look around at something like that. Check that. I hope this video wasn't too difficult to see or understand. I hope you got something out of it, and then now you've got another thing that you know how to do to fix your mower, something else that you can check from time to time to make sure that component is still there. I'm going to get off of this video so that I can get back to work. So y'all be good.